Welcome everyone to LHS's SEL, Social Emotional Learning, Professional Learning. Welcome everyone to Ligonor High School Social Emotional Learning, PL. Just a friendly reminder about our professional learning norms of making sure you are actively listening, that you give everybody an equity of voice, respect all perspectives, be present, and work collaboratively. When in a Google Meet, please remember these few norms. Please mute your microphone when not speaking, and the easiest way to do that too is by pressing Control-D at the same time. When you would like to share, please signal the facilitator by raising your hand. Also, the facilitator will check the chat box throughout the presentation to address any needs or concerns. Please stay present and mindful in the session, that is, disconnect to connect. And if there's a connection issue, try rejoining in the Google Meet by, unplugging and then going back in. Our goals and objectives for this professional learning opportunity are the following. Participants will understand the importance of social and emotional learning for students and for ourselves as well. Participants will identify meaningful and authentic ways to build relationships with students in a virtual classroom. Participants will learn strategies to use with students and themselves to be better able to cope with stress. So let's check in together. List at least one, maybe up to 3 things that you are grateful for that occurred over the last 24 hours. It can be as simple as, I had a great cup of coffee this morning. So just think about it. Just give yourselves, a minute, half a minute to think about what are you grateful for today. Now, also, remember our social emotional learning norms, and these are the same norms that we're holding our students to and ourselves as well. Speaker has your full attention, you speak your truth, it's a safe space, and it's common ground for everyone. All right, let's look at the what of SEL, the what of social emotional learning. It is a process where we as educators and our students learn to understand emotions, manage our emotions, set goals, learn to feel and show empathy for others, build relationships, and make responsible decisions. So to make sure that we all have a clear understanding of what SEL is, we and our students need to be aware of the 5 emotional intelligence competencies: the self-awareness, social awareness, self-management, relationship skills, and responsible decision-making. Always keep this in mind. As educators, we are the calm for our students. We have to remain calm. If our students are struggling and are angry or sad, and we, in turn, are angry with them, then it's not a very good situation. So please remember that we are the calm for our students. So here are the 5 emotional intelligence competencies, and you can find out more information by going to the website of CASEL, C-A-S-E-L. But again, it's that self-awareness, that social awareness. These are our thoughts, all right? What are we socially aware, or what are we self-aware of our feelings, of our emotions? And again, we're talking about ourselves and our students. And how are we socially aware of others and what they feel and their diversity? And then we also have to look at our actions. How are we self-managing our emotions, and how are our students self-managing their emotions? How are we building those relationships with our students, and how are students building relationships with one another and with their teachers? And then all of those then end up helping us and our students make responsible decision making. Now, but remember, our kids are still at that age where that executive function, that responsible decision making, doesn't come into full force until they're age 23. So we really have to make them more aware of how to make those great decisions. And that's why we have, during Tuesdays and Thursdays, during our prep classes, the social emotional learning lessons for our students, so that we can give them the language and the strategies for SEL, helping them cope with stress and helping them become more academically successful in their lives, whether it's in school or outside of school. Under this slide, under the SEL impact, you'll watch a very short video, and it has different districts, school districts across the nation, talking about the positive impact social emotional learning has had on student successes in their districts. So take a look at it when you get a chance. Now, what about the SEL, the why? Why are we doing this? To help students become better academic learners, to have more positive relationships between teachers and students. In our world today, there are many people suffering from mental illness and depression. There are more students with anxiety that impacts their learning. So that is why we have to make sure that we study, that we understand what social emotional learning is, and that we give our students the language and the strategies to help them become better adults. This slide gives you some mental health data, and if you look at it, it focuses on the stress levels during the pandemic, and you can see that females, and that's like our minorities, like our blacks and Hispanics, have more stress, okay, or claiming that they have more stress than their counterparts, like the males. So if you also click on the top, the purple word data, you will find more information on the mental health of young people. 7 in 10 teens are struggling today. 70% of teens wish schools taught them more about social emotional learning. So always try to remember that our Tuesday, Thursday prep classes, the SEL, the social emotional learning lessons that we're getting from the website, the digital solutions, are going to be very important for our students. All right. Now, you may get students who don't want to do those lessons, but don't forget that other people, other kids who may be silent about it, may need those lessons. So take a moment and think about, what is your why? What made you become an educator? Think about it. Why did you choose to be a teacher? And then how, or has it changed in this virtual setting? So this, again, is just for you to think of your why. Why are you a teacher, and or has it changed because we're in the virtual setting? So how do we help our students, cope with the pandemic, with mental health issues, anything else that they're going through? So we're looking at the mental health RTI here, the 3 tiers of support. Our tier 1, think of it as our anchor, our check-in, and that's where our Tuesday, Thursday prep classes come into play with that digital solution website lessons. And again, it's universal, so we're giving it to every student, whether they are suffering or are struggling. So this is for everybody. All right. Tier 2, is for students who are needing more help, and here we probably will connect them to counselors with our behavior support specialist for Ligonor High. That's Rebecca House. All right. For students who even need more than just tier 2 support, that's when, for example, we refer them to a psychiatrist or psychologist who can work with them more one-on-one. So how do we build those relationships, especially now that we're remote and that we're virtual, that we're not face-to-face with our students? So there's some techniques, and this again is from the training from Digital Solutions, phone calls. And I'm not talking about phone calls to say, oh, you didn't turn in your work or you're missing work. Just regular phone calls just to be positive. Hey, great assignment that you turned in, things like that. Postcards, I think this is a great idea. Send a postcard to all of your students, or to a student who is struggling and is picking it up all of a sudden in your classroom. Games, interactive games. It does say here on the slide that we did borrow from Digital Solutions website, the Zoom Hangouts. Please don't use that because we're not allowed as a county to use Zoom. And then you have circles and you have scavenger hunts and so forth. Okay. So again, whatever you're using to help build those relationships with your students. So what is your how? All right. Take a minute and think of your how. How are you connecting with your students? If you see students struggling academically or emotionally, what are you doing to reach out to them? All right. And here during our PL session, we had our participants text ideas to this number, and it came up with a word cloud. And some of those suggestions, okay, some of those answers from your colleagues included telling stories, listening to your students, sharing, maybe having students share something, whether it's just a story or a thought or emotion, or even something physical, like sharing, oh, look, here's my cat, or here's my dog, all right? Office hours, where you can connect with your students. Of course, showing empathy and even messaging your students. Okay. If you have any questions, all right, about all of this professional learning on social emotional learning, please contact Raida Zaytun or Rebecca House, and we'll be glad to answer them. These are just some resources that Rebecca House put together that, again, and just for your review, and if you ever need anything, and there might be some great ideas to help you with your prep, your Monday, Wednesday, Friday prep, to add those in. Okay. And finally, I want to leave you with some thoughts from Keith Metheny, or Coach Rudy, the person that you see on the videos in our social emotional learning videos that we're getting from the Digital Solutions websites. We cannot judge others by what they are going through. Others cannot judge us by what we are going through. Keep in mind that your struggling students are not at-risk students, but at-promise students. Do not see pandemic as a problem, but as a challenge to overcome. And then always, always try to remember to connect, relate, and regulate, whether it's your emotions or your students' emotions. Thank you very much.